Okay, thanks for coming, everyone. We're going to crack on. It's 9 o'clock. If more people join, we'll just let them in and they can go from there. We've got quite a lot to get through today, and we've only got an hour. So today we're going to be talking all about Mimecast and email security. It's going to be a presentation from Stuart Moll and myself, and we're going to go through various different things. So I'll show you the agenda for today. By the way, we are recording this Teams meeting, so we'll be able to send a recording out after the event. So once again, thanks for attending, everyone. This is the agenda. We're going to go through Mimecast and do a 365-day roundup of the email security threat landscape as it's been. Stuart's got a load of statistics to go through and show us what the state of play is. Stuart's then going to go through the types of email threats and the impacts that they can have on your business. We're then going to go through what Mimecast is, run through a few of the different security features and how they are the answer to some of those threats and impacts that Stuart talks about. We're then going to go on to some handy tips and tricks for using Mimecast. We're going to do a live phishing demo, and then we're going to run through the Mimecast awareness training module as well. And there is going to be a test at the end of that one, so make sure you're all paying attention. And then we'll open it up for a Q&A session. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Stuart to go through all of the stats for the last year.
Thanks, Jack, and welcome everyone. So let's move on. So these, before we go into Mimecast, I thought I'd bring some statistics to your attention. These are all from the Mimecast State of Email Security in 2021 report. So the first one is 95% of all cyber breaches are classed as human error. So this proves that the human is often the weakest link, and the vast majority of breaches and attacks are not at all complex, but target end users. The reason for this is that it's far more time intensive for cyber criminals to find bugs and things in software to exploit. And also it could be for such a short space of time, because if those then get resolved, they then got to start again and find another exploit. So it's easier for them to target humans. So a training thing there with coming on to awareness training later. 79% experienced a business disruption, financial loss, or another setback in 2020 due to a lack of cyber preparation. Email threats rose by 64%. I think this is quite a large percentage. And with email being such an essential part of all businesses, I can only see this number rising because they can attack such a large amount of people with very little effort. 70% of companies expect their business to be harmed by an email-borne attack. Again, high expectation from businesses to be harmed, so vital to have email security solution in place. And again, I think all of these show that cyber security is key, and protecting against it is also important. So let's move on to some types of attack and their possible impacts. So I've split it into 4 sections. There's some overlap between them. So what is spam? Spam, by definition, is an unwanted or unsolicited email, not all of which pose security threats. So, for example, you might receive an advert for a holiday, but you might have holidayed with that company 5 years ago, but you're not interested in it anymore, so that could be classed as spam. From a threat perspective, some spam does contain malicious links, or so it tries to bring you in by saying you've won a competition or a gift voucher to try and draw you into doing something for an attacker to then gain access to your systems. Phishing and spear phishing kind of overlap as well as whaling, but we'll go into them. So phishing is a method of social engineering used by hackers to trick end users into opening malicious attachments or clicking on links in emails for them to gain access. The difference between phishing and spear phishing is how targeted the attack is. Phishing, they're not really tailored to the recipients at all. They're kind of sent out en masse, just hoping that people fall for it. Whereas spear phishing is much more targeted to individuals. The goal essentially is the same, So research is key for spear phishing in terms of the cyber criminals. So they can look at emails from past breaches to identify how they're written, the type of language used, as well as the format of the email to make them look more convincing. Social media platforms are also a place of interest to harvest information, such as LinkedIn is often used because they can gain job titles and who you work for, as well as other members in your company. So if you, for example, work in accounts, they can try and trick you to transfer funds because they know you might have access to do that, for example. Whaling or CEO fraud is very similar to the other two, but it's targeted at CEOs or members of the executive team. The reason their members are often targeted is due to the nature of their work being under high pressure and processing time critical tasks, and also the rewards for the cyber criminals is often greater. So let's look at the methods of attack. So credential harvesting is where they're looking to gain your username and password to access your systems. So often these are links and emails. So you'll click on the link and it will take you to what looks like a genuine website, for example, Office 365. You then enter your credentials, and then the hacker then stores those credentials and then can use them later. You may then get redirected to the genuine site, or it may just say your password's incorrect because you don't know if you've typed it correctly or not. The key thing to protect against this, obviously Mimecast has some features in that, but multi-factor authentication is also a good way to protect against this, because the hackers would also need the second factor, such as a text message or phone call or push notification to your phone. And if they don't have that, then they can't get access to your systems. Malware and ransomware. So ransomware is a type of malware. This method is often when they download something on your computer, again by links or malicious attachments. So in the case of ransomware, they're looking to make your files unreadable by encrypting them, and then they'll pop something up on your computer to say you need to transfer X amount of pounds to get the decryption keys, otherwise we're not going to give your data back. Backup, a good backup is key to protecting against this, so you can just restore the data rather than paying the ransom. The more people that pay the ransom, the more likely are that cyber criminals carry on with these sorts of attack. Bank payments or transferring of funds is often social engineering in terms of tricking someone into that the account details of a supplier, for example, have changed, so that you then transfer the funds into what you think is a genuine account, but might not be. So this will be an email drafted looking like a genuine email. However, it contains different bank details. The best way to combat this is actually financial process. So if you receive this sort of email and you're kind of not expecting it, is to call the company from a known number, not a number in the email, and then confirm whether or not the email is genuine. So moving on to the impact of the attacks. So data loss in terms of ransomware. So if all of your files get encrypted and you haven't got a backup, you're either faced with paying the ransom or not having the data at all. If you do pay the ransom, obviously there's no guarantee that you'll get the data back anyway. There's other methods of data loss in terms of forwarding emails outside of your environment. Office 365, they are rolling out, or Microsoft are rolling out blocks for external email forwards to prevent data loss that way, but it's still something to be aware of. Reputational loss, if you have to bring your systems offline, especially if you're customer facing, such as an ordering site or something, and then you have to take those down because of the attack. Obviously, then you have to have some sort of explanation to your customers. And if personal information's been lost, then you would have to declare that to the individuals as well. Potentially have to report it to the ICO, and then that potentially could get into the public domain. And financial loss we've kind of covered in terms of transferring funds out of your account into cyber criminals' accounts without, or when you're not aware of it. So I'm now going to hand back over to Jack, and he's going to run through the Mimecast features of how we can look at protecting against these.
Yeah, thanks, Stuart. Like Stuart said, he's gone through the threats and their impacts, and I'm going to go through, just get onto the right slide, sorry, go through a few of the features. Not all of it's security in Mimecast. Mimecast is a really big product, and it's got a load of other features and things that it can do to help you. So I'm going to run through some of those. But to start with, we'll go through 3 of the top email security features that it has. It has the amount of policies and things you can configure in Mimecast is vast. So if I were to go through every single one today, we'd be here for 3 hours and you'd all get really bored. So I'm just going to go through the top 3 here that I've sort of highlighted, and then these kind of answer are like the answer to the problem that Stuart has spoken about earlier. So like I said, email security, this is the big one, really, the core part of Mimecast and what it does. So if we look at the 3 here I've highlighted, we've got URL protect. This is a really important one. I think Stuart would probably agree. We see far more threats now through email with links in them, which are trying to harvest credentials. That seems to be like the go-to way of doing things now. It used to be much more sort of attachment based and stuff, and we will talk about that. But yeah, nowadays, most of them have always got a link in, and they're going to send you to like a website that looks very much like something like Office 365 or Dropbox, and it's going to ask you to put your credentials in. So URL protect. What this does is any email that is sent into Mimecast or out of Mimecast from you, it looks at the URL and it rewrites the URL. Once it's rewritten the URL, it scans the destination website that's in there, and it scans it in real time as it comes in, and there's a massive database of known malicious websites. If it scans that email and sees that the link that's within that email is a malicious one, a known malicious website, it's just going to block you and you're not going to be able to click on it. So it's a really important bit of protection there. Another key feature of it doesn't matter what device you're on. If you're using a tablet, a laptop, your mobile phone, if you click on it, it doesn't matter what network you're in. If you click on it and it's known malicious link, it will stop you from going to it. It can also do some quite clever stuff with like dynamic user awareness questioning on it. So you can see the little screenshot here. Every time, if you keep, I think it's every 5 links. So if you click on links all the time in email, it's going to just keep putting up a little reminder saying, do you think this link is safe? And it's just an extra thing to remind people, hold on, should I be clicking on this link? Am I expecting this person to send me a link? As Stuart said before, you know, people quite often will just, if they're really busy, they're going to click on something, go through, always question it and always look and think, should I be clicking on it? Again, it asks you if it's safe or if you think it's harmful. And if you click it's safe and it is, it'll let you go through to it. If you click it's safe and it's harmful, it's going to stop you going to it. So that's a really, really key and important feature in email, in Mimecast there. Moving on, we've got impersonation protection. So this one will help where Stuart spoke about whaling and spear phishing, and where someone is pretending to be, say, the CEO or the managing director of your company. This is what impersonation protection can stop. The way it works is it does a number of checks in the background. So if it thinks the email is suspicious, so some of the checks it looks at are things like similar domains. So someone might go and buy a domain that looks very much like yours. So we're breakwaterit.co.uk. Someone might go and buy breakwater, spelled BRAKE, waterit.co.uk, and try and send an email through. And they'll have, like Stuart said, they could have looked on LinkedIn and found out that John Gosling is the managing director, and he could have then sent an email. And someone might look at that, not very quickly, in Outlook, and think, oh yeah, that's from John, and go and click on it. So it can look at similar domains. It can look at spoofing. So you can actually send an email from any domain you like. Anyone can. That's just how email works. But there's things in place. We put in DNS records to say that this, you should only be able to send email from breakwaterit.co.uk from these locations. Now, if someone is spoofing you, generally they're sending it from an unknown location. So it will do a check against your domain and say, hold on, it shouldn't be coming from this location. So if it does that, it will mark it as a malicious link. It can also do keyword scanning, so it will look through the body of the email, and if there's known sort of patterns within the email, it can flag that. Now, this is a highly configurable setting, and we have it by default. It has to hit 2 of those things for it to be marked as an unsafe email. You can change that and do it on 1, but then you might have a situation where you're blocking legitimate email from say you use a marketing product or something to send out mass emails. So it's that toss up, but we can configure that and make it more aggressive if people want to. Moving on, we've got attachment filtering. So as I said, this used to be I think probably the most common way that people would try and attack you through email. It's less and less now. It seems to be more links and credential harvesting, but it still happens. So I think it's fairly self-explanatory, but you'll receive an email, it will have an attachment in it. It might be something that looks as simple as an Excel file or a PDF. Quite often it's things like zip files, and they contain malicious software within it. But what it does is Mimecast, whenever an email with an attachment comes in, they use multiple antivirus engines to scan the attachment. So they scan it in real time. It's checked for known malicious code, and if it finds anything that it thinks is wrong, it will block it. You can't release this type of email yourself. You have to contact us or the administrator to get the email released, because it could be very dangerous. A nifty little feature is within Mimecast, if you do have something blocked, you can actually release the email into a sandbox. So you can release it into a safe environment, open up the attachment, and actually look at the content and see what's in it and see if it is actually legitimate or not. So by default, we block things like zip files and executables and a few other types of files, because they're kind of the most common known vectors of attack, really. So we block those ones by default. But again, this policy and pretty much everything in Mimecast is really, really configurable. So you could go all out. I don't want any attachments going into any of my staff. And you can just block all attachments. Now that's a bit aggressive because people do need to actually send attachments. But again, you can do other things. You could say, right, I want everything to be moderated, and it goes through a group of people to see if these attachments are safe or not. And then equally, you could have a subset of people that it's their day-to-day job to send zip files back and forth to people. So you could have a different policy for a subset of people and allow those people to send and receive zip files. So like I said, all of those are just 3 of the things that can help protect against email attacks. And again, as I said, Mimecast doesn't just do email security, it does loads of other things. One of the key features it can do is archiving. So with the cloud, things have become harder to manage. Traditionally, you may have had an on-premise Exchange server and then say a file server with loads of storage in it, and you would have archived some of your email out of your live mailbox into an archive. This just makes your mailbox more manageable. It means you haven't got, lots of people get really large mailboxes, and it just takes an age to get it all into Outlook, etc. So it makes things more manageable. But obviously times have changed. Nearly everyone is in Office 365 now. And one of the key benefits to Mimecast's archiving is it's all in the cloud as well, and it's integrated into your existing Mimecast solution. So if you're already using Mimecast, you'll be familiar with how it works. So you may be using things like the Outlook add-in, the personal portal, etc., which we'll come on to in a second. But all of these features that you're probably used to, if you then use Mimecast archiving, it uses the same sort of thing. So you'll be very used to it. It's fully cloud and it's indexed really well. So it gives really, really fast search results when you're looking for data. A lot of people actually say it's quicker to go and search the Mimecast plugin or the personal portal than it is to actually search in Outlook. It's fully compliant and it's tamper resistant, and it has a full chain of custody, so that if you've got a requirement for proper governance over your emails, it's fully compliant for that. So if that is a concern for you, the AR archiving solution is completely compliant. Another handy feature is it's actually outside of your Office 365 environment. So God forbid the worst thing happened and Microsoft lost all of its data and everything's gone. You haven't got all of your eggs in one basket. You've actually got a load of data in an archive outside of Office 365. So that's actually a really real bonus there. Moving on to email stationery, which is basically signature management within Mimecast. This is another really useful feature which Mimecast have. It's one we use ourselves, and I know a number of our clients do as well. So a few of the key benefits of it are you can ensure consistency in the branding of your email signatures. It centralizes the management of email signatures, which saves time and disruption for your staff, really. I remember a few of our clients years ago, if they wanted to update a signature for everyone, it meant literally calling every single person or sending around a guide first saying, can you go here, go into Outlook, select this signature, add it in, and we'd have loads of calls and it would disrupt people and use up loads of their time. Now we just need to get an email designed by you. We can upload it into Mimecast and then we can pretty much instantly push it out to everyone. So yeah, that central management of emails is really, really useful. Again, like pretty much everything in Mimecast, it applies these signatures to all devices. So it used to, do you remember, quite often you'd get an email from someone, they've sent it on their phone, and it would say, oh, sorry, there's no signature, it's come from a phone or something. Not a thing in Mimecast. If you're sending an email from phone, tablet, mobile, webmail, it doesn't matter, it will apply that signature. Also, you can run campaigns in it. So say you've got a marketing campaign going on for a month. You can have it pre-designed, pre-uploaded, the signature's ready to go. And you can say, right, on the 1st of July, we're going to run this marketing campaign, or we're doing like a charity sponsorship thing for a month. You can say on the 1st of July, I want this signature to take over, run for a month, and then after that month, I want it to flip back to what our normal signature was. So you can do loads of different things like that. Again, you can split it into departments and groups, and they can have different signatures for different groups. So it's really, again, like everything in Mimecast, highly configurable, and you can do a lot with it. So security awareness training. I'm not going to go into too much detail here because Stuart's going to do a deep dive on that later. Email continuity, I'm going to quickly touch on though, which is something which I did speak about before, where God forbid the worst thing happens and 365 goes down. It has happened a few times. Luckily, it's not gone down for very long, but if it did and it went down for any length of time, if you have Mimecast and you've all got the Outlook add-in ready to go, you can flick a switch in Mimecast, which is called a continuity event. And because all of your email is delivered into Mimecast first and all of your email goes out through Mimecast as well, you can actually still send and receive emails from within Outlook, even though Office 365 is down. And actually, you might not even realize that 365 is down. There is a little pop-up that would come up saying a continuity event has been triggered, but essentially just carry on sending and receiving through Outlook and it will work as normal. So it gives you that always on uninterrupted email. That's it for those features. So I'm going to move on to some handy hints and tips. So we're going to cover three things here. One is the Outlook add-in. Number two is the personal portal, and number three is the daily digest. Now, all of these things can help you to manage the spam emails that you get. It can also help you to just go and search for emails and things like that. And like I said, if there was a continuity event and you had the Outlook add-in, or you could log into the personal portal, you can carry on running your emails. So the Outlook add-in, it makes finding email content fast and simple. It can even help you find deleted email that doesn't exist in your mailbox anymore. Because even if you delete it from your mailbox, depending on what sort of retention policies and governance you have in Mimecast, it would still exist in Mimecast. So you can go in there and you can find things really quickly. Like I said, it's indexed really, really well, and it searches very, very fast. So it's actually really handy for that. It's also, like I said, it's there for in the event of a continuity issue. So if 365 is down, you can still send and receive emails from within the add-in. So there's three different types. It also allows you to control like your held messages. So if you get spam, you'll get there's different ways that you can release it. You can come in to the Outlook add-in and you can say, hold on, I was expecting an email. I've just done a password reset for something and I haven't got the email yet. It might be that Mimecast has said, oh, actually, this looks like it's a spam message, but you need it really quickly. So you can come into the Outlook add-in and you can find the message that's held in your spam queue. And then there's three options. So there's release, This does what it says on the tin. It releases the message into your inbox, but it doesn't necessarily mean that any future emails from that message, from that address, will be delivered straight to your mailbox. It will still hold them, because sometimes, yeah, you might want the password reset, but you don't actually want all of the spam that they keep sending you. The next option there is the release message and permit the address. So this will do the same as release. It allows the message through to your mailbox, but it will also permit the address. So any more emails that come from that address will get released into your mailbox automatically. You've then got release and permit domain. So again, it does the same as the last two, but it just means that anything from the domain, so anything after the @ symbol in that address, so anything else from that company will also get straight through to your mailbox. The next options are reject. Fairly obvious what it does. It rejects the email, but it doesn't reject future messages. Future messages may still be held in your mailbox. You can do reject and block address. This obviously rejects the email, but it also then adds the address to your block list. So any future emails you get from them will be blocked and you won't receive them anymore. We then have reject and block domain, which is very similar to the release and permit domain. It rejects a message and it will block anything else from that company and that domain. So obviously be a bit careful with that. We've had a couple of calls sometimes when people are like, I haven't got this email, and actually they've blocked it ages ago. They might have been getting really annoyed by a load of spam they're getting and they've blocked it, and then they actually need an important email. So I'll come on to the personal portal and how you can manage those lists from within there in a bit. There's also the spam button here. So you can report something as spam or phishing if you actually think it's phishing. So that will send it off for analysis. On to the personal portal. The personal portal is basically like a web version of your mailbox. You can see everything sent and received in Mimecast for your mailbox within here. You can also use it to look at your held messages. It's really handy because you can actually go into your held messages and preview a message. So you can say, oh, actually, I'm not sure about this one, but I'll have a look at it from within Mimecast. You hit preview, you can see what the message is. And then you can quickly say, actually, yeah, no, that's really useful. I'm going to have that one in my mailbox, and then you can release it. Or you can preview it and say, no, that's definitely spam. Don't ever want to see it. You can reject it. We've sort of highlighted here the little advanced icon. So this would be where you'd see all of your held messages. You could see your personal on hold, which is anything that's come to you that's been held by Mimecast. If you are set up as a moderator, you'd be able to see your moderated on hold messages. So that's something I touched on briefly earlier, but we can actually set up people within your organization to moderate spam and to moderate held messages. So you can set a group of people who can moderate spam for other people. You can look at bounces and rejections. So say you were expecting an important email, but it's come from a domain that's actually on a block list or something. You can go in there and you can see a reason that a mail might have been bounced or rejected by Mimecast. It's not going to let it through, but you can then at least contact that company and say, hey, you're on a block list. That's why we're not getting your emails. You can also look at the blocked and permitted senders. So at the bottom there, you see blocked and permitted and auto permitted. So say you did block a message before, and then you were like, actually, no, I do need to receive email from this person again. I've changed my mind. I like them now. You can go in there and you can remove them from your block list, and then it will allow email through from them again. And the next one is the daily digest emails. Now we say it's daily. You can actually, again, like I say, everything in Mimecast highly configurable. But basically what you get is a daily digest. You receive this handy little email from Mimecast. It shows all of the messages that are on hold for you. And we can configure how often you get these emails. By default, I think it's 3 times a day. I think here at Breakwater, we actually have it hourly. But you know, it depends how often you want to receive them. You can set them to just be once a day if you'd like. But basically, it sends you a list of messages with a digest of all of the emails which have been held, and then it gives you those same options. So you can release it into your mailbox, but it will, like I said, future emails may well get held still. You can permit it, which releases it into your inbox and allows future messages in the same address to be delivered straight to your email inbox, or you can block it. So that is the handy little features of Mimecast, and now we're going to move on to a phishing simulation. So just going to flick over because I need to jump in to the awareness training area. So within Mimecast, you have the security awareness training center, which Stuart's, like I said, is going to do a deep dive on later, so I'm not going to go into too much detail of it. But we have the phishing area here. So within the phishing area, you've got campaigns, which I'll show you in a minute. I launched a campaign this morning and I've sent everyone at Breakwater a simulated phishing email, and I'll show you how we react to that. So within here, you also have templates. I'm just going to quickly touch on the templates, and then I'll show you how you can set up a campaign from those templates as well. So you click in templates, and there's a whole load of preloaded fake phishing emails, basically. I'll show you the one we've used on the campaign we've run today, which is a OneDrive email. I picked this one because it's, we use Teams a lot. We use OneDrive and we share documents we do it internally and we do it with clients as well. So I think this is one that is, you see this type of email and it does actually look relatively legitimate. So this is the email that people are going to get into their mailbox. And it's going to say Michael shared project items with you, and it looks like it's a project items OneNote, and you'd be able to click open on it. Now, to me, first of all, I'm going to look at that email. I'm going to say, first of all, who's Michael? I don't know anyone called Michael, or I certainly don't know. I'm not working on a project with anyone called Michael. I'm also going to look at the from address. I'm going to look at the fact that it says it's from OneDrive, but actually it's come from no reply at benefits-bulletin.com. Now, I don't work with any company called benefits-bulletin.com, so I shouldn't really be clicking on it. But as is in human nature, people might just say, oh yeah, I'm going to click on that and open it up. Now, if they do click on it and open it, it's going to take them to this page and it's going to tell them this was just a phishing test, no harm done. But, and this is the but part, because this is actually going to really help people to learn not to just randomly click on things. From here, it's going to tell you some handy tips on how you can identify phishing emails and what to look out for. So it's going to tell you, if you don't know the sender, don't click on the link. That's really such a simple thing, but it gets missed so often. It is really that simple. If you don't know them and you're not expecting an email from them, don't click on it. Check the sender's email address, because again, it might say something like, oh, it's from John Gosling or from Peter Davies at Breakwater IT, but actually you look at the address and then it's a complete different one. So hover before you click. That's another really handy tool. Within Outlook, if you hover over the link to something, it will show you the domain that it's come from. So you can quickly see, oh, actually, quite often these spam phishing ones actually have really long random set of strings and numbers and letters, and are going to take you to a malicious site. So hover before you ever click on anything, and then always remember to protect your personally identifiable information. Another one is, if maybe you might actually get a link like this from a legitimate person. It might look like it's actually come from their email, but it could be that they've been breached and someone's actually put a malicious file within their OneDrive and shared it with all of the contacts. So again, if you're not expecting an email with an attachment or a link to a shared document, just don't open it. Call the person up and ask them. It's always the safest bet. So that's just one of the templates. There's loads within here. You can build your own templates. Another really handy feature is if you've had an actual phishing email that's come through, you can use that as a template. So you can import that and make it look exactly like a legitimate phishing email that came in, and then use that as a campaign later on. So I'll quickly show you. It's really, really quick and easy to do this. You can set up a campaign within, let's say, a minute. You can time me if you want. So I'm just going to call this one test. You can click random templates. It's going to go off and assign a template for you, but I'm going to click non-random template. I'm going to select the language, which is English, but they do support multiple different languages there. I'm going to do an Amazon shipping one. Loads of people are buying stuff off Amazon recently, so it's probably quite a good one. I'm going to do that next Tuesday. I'm going to use the default templates from there, but you can say who it's coming from, so you can do various different things. So let's do no reply at our account. You can set a time that it's going to send out. And then here you can set a group of people. So say you want to target a specific department or something like that. Now I've set up a demo group. I'm just going to assign it to the demo group. and then I'm going to hit create, and it is as simple as that. That's now there. I don't need to worry about it until June the 29th between 6 and 12 when it will send out. Now, the one I'd set up before, I'd set it up. I was going to hit the send now, but it's already done it because I came in this morning, and the email's already been sent out to everyone. Now, I'm just going to jump into our demo mailbox and show you what it looks like. So here is the message. It looks exactly like the template we just saw. Like I said, you look for the things like, who's it come from? Am I expecting this? Who's it been sent to? And there's the link. Now I'm going to click on it just so we can get some stats into the log file that I'll show you in a second. But there you go. It pops up that message and shows you why it was a phishing test and no harm is done. And then it gives you those handy hints and tips. I'm not clicking on it later. Now, I got into the office this morning and David Loveridge was already sat at his desk. He went, oh, I've got this really weird email. Hold on. So he's already been trained to look at emails like that, don't click on them, and instantly notify the whole company. So he's gone at 7:52 before he's even started work and sent an email to Breakwater IT. And he said, morning all, I've received a couple of emails with the subject, Michael shared a project item with you. Believe this email is suspicious and should be deleted. Please don't click on any links in the email. If you have, let Jack or Stuart know ASAP. So that's exactly how you want your company to react, really. You're not trying to catch people out with phishing simulation. You're trying to make sure that the process people follow when they do receive a phishing email is something like this. Now, we'd actually now go in more depth. We would start logging into PowerShell and we can automatically delete that email from everyone's mailbox within your company. So if this happens, if you get a legitimate phishing email, first of all, speak up. Get everyone to tell everyone they're sat next to, get Teams messages going if people are working from home, send a company-wide email and tell people not to click on it. Get on the phone to us as quickly as possible and tell us, you think there's a phishing email here, can we get it removed from everyone's mailbox? And we can do that pretty quickly. But also, most importantly, make sure people aren't scared to tell you if they've clicked on it and if they put their credentials in. The worst thing you want is people sat there going, oh no, I've put my username and password in and I don't want to tell anyone, because we need to remediate that account really, really quickly. A couple of other things are always have MFA on Office 365, because if you go and put your username and password in, they've got your credentials. If you have MFA, they shouldn't be able to get into your account. So if I jump back into this campaign that we launched today, you can get some information on it. So you can see that I clicked on it from my demo account. Nobody else did, which was nice to know. 13 people have opened the message, but nobody other than my demo account has clicked on it. You can see all of the people it was sent to, and you can see here that Jack clicked on it. Demo.jack, I wouldn't click on it in real life. And you can also see the people that have opened it. So you can get that data really quickly, and you can see, in real life, you might have 10 people who clicked on it, and then you can say, hold on, so those 10 people, really, we need to give them a little bit more education around phishing. And we'll come on to the user awareness videos and training that we can do as part of that. So you can get some really useful, sort of actionable information from this really quickly, and it's really simple to set up and really easy to use. So let's stop sharing that, and we're going to flick back to our presentation. Then I'm going to let Stuart take control as he goes on to talk about user awareness training.
So we've already touched on why security awareness training is important in terms of the first statistic that I mentioned of 95% of all cyber breaches being human error. So training staff is absolutely key. And if you haven't got a tool such as Mimecast security awareness training and you're just training them ad hoc, often what we see is you might run a session or say, can everyone watch this webinar on it? But then that might happen once a year or once every 6 months. And when that happens, then it then just drops off people's radars. They forget that they've watched it, and it might only be on a certain topic, which then means they're not fully trained in all of the threats that are out there. Mimecast security awareness training, the content is all types of cyber threats, so not just email-borne attacks. So they cover things like adverts on websites and clicking on those, to social engineering on walking up to a card machine in a hotel and putting like a scanner on that. So yeah, they cover a wide variety of topics. And the way that they do it is you can create video campaigns. So you can create a video campaign of say 8 to 10 videos and release them once a week. And then when you release them, the members of the group that you release them to, so again, you can configure that. You can say, I want these people to get these ones, or these people to get these ones, or send it company wide. They then receive an email, they log into awareness training, and they then watch the video. The videos are short, so they're like 2 to 3 minutes long, and they feature 2 main characters, human error, who is on the slide, and then there's another person who features in every video called Sound Judgment, and they're a little bit cheesy, but they kind of play each other off in terms of whether or not they should fall for the attack or not, in terms of Sound Judgment tries to persuade otherwise. And then after the video, there's a question on the topic. Multiple choice question, 4 answers. You pick your answer and answer it. Once you've done that, you're finished. And then the administrator can then come into the reporting side of it. Similar to the phishing simulator reporting, really, you can look at the topics and see percentage of people who answered it correctly or not, as the case may be, as well as looking at individuals and how many questions they have or have not answered correctly. Now, the good thing about this is you can see if anyone needs any additional training to work out if they're weak in certain areas, or if they're just click happy with links. So yeah, it's a really, really good tool. We use it internally, so we send out campaigns, and we're not perfect, so we've had staff internally who've had the questions answer the questions incorrectly. So it just proves that the training is vital, and yeah, humans need the education to protect yourselves. So we're now going to demo. Jack's already signed in, so Jack's going to take control, and we're going to show you a video and then pop the question on the screen so you can see how you'll do.
Yeah, okay, so I'm just going to start this video. Like I said, listen carefully, watch it, learn something from it, and then hopefully you're all going to answer the question correctly afterwards. But we'll see, and then we'll single out anyone who doesn't. No, we won't at all.
Is that your horoscope? I thought you came down here to work on your presentation.
Which I still have every intention of doing, eventually.
Why would you need an astrology website when you have me around? I see more mindless procrastination in your future.
Oh, child stars then and now. Okay, well, we obviously have to see this.
I wouldn't click on that, Claire.
How can we not click on that, Claire? You know you're curious.
Sometimes those ads lead to bad sites.
And sometimes those links show us what Justin Timberlake looked like when he was on the Mickey Mouse Club. It's fine, Claire.
Okay, click on the next one.
Remember this kid? He fell off the face of the earth after that show.
Yeah, and now I think we know why. Oh, that's unfortunate. Keep going.
They always slip in more ads in the middle of these slideshows.
Don't go down the rabbit hole, Claire. One click leads to the next, and then the next. Make sure the link is secure. Make sure it's legit.
I'll tell you what's legit. That ad that says you can make $10,000 a month working from home.
I've always wondered how those things work.
There's only one way to find out. You click it. That seems like a breeze. Well, I guess we're done working here, huh? You're not excited about this?
Why is it doing this?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how the virus ended up on your machine.
Did you receive any strange emails recently? Maybe click on a link you shouldn't have? Oh, we clicked on a whole bunch of fun stuff. Show them, Claire.
I may have meandered a bit during a recent web search.
That's a lot of open tabs.
Yeah, I just couldn't stop clicking.
Clickbait. Same way advertisers try to draw you in. Hackers do it too. They create bad links, hold up something shiny to get your attention, and get you to click.
Sorry, this is all on me.
No, it's on me too. I mean, we usually install a software to prevent people from going to suspect sites, but I'm not sure why it wasn't on your machine. I may have had something to do with that. Let's see if we can figure out what caused this. Are these all the sites you went to?
Yeah. I started by clicking on this silly child star thing.
Oh. Is that really what it looks like now? Pretty tough to look at.
You should see this other guy. Let me just show you real quick.
I don't want to, but I kind of do. Keep going. Whoa.
Okay, so I'm going to flick back to a slide and we're going to ask you a question. So after watching that video, let us know how you would answer this question. So bear with me 2 seconds while I get to the right slide. Okay, so here's the scenario. You're on a popular news site and you see an ad from a travel company about a vacation destination or holiday destination if you're in the UK you were thinking about visiting. Select the best course of action from the choices below. So would you A, validate the travel company before clicking on the ad? Would you B, copy and paste the web address so you can access it from home? C, visit the site for more information, but ensure you don't enter any sensitive data? Or D, search the web for the travel agency? So we're going to flick a poll up now, and if everyone can answer what they think is the correct answer. Okay, we've had 10 responses, 11 responses. Okay, not bad, not bad. Okay, so we've got 83% got it correct. Although people keep, I think we've had a few more in. So 84% got it correct, and we've had 2 people who got it wrong. So 2 people said, I'm not going to name who it is, but 2 people said A, validate the travel company before clicking on the ad, and then another person said visit the site for more information, but don't enter any sensitive information. So there, I think the actual answer that we're looking for is D. Don't click through on the ads, don't click on things, just search the web for the travel agency. If you know, say it's TUI, or I'm trying to think of a travel agency that hasn't gone bust in the last year, but just search for the company and go through that way. Don't go clicking through ads, because as we showed in that video, they might have actually set up like web links in the background that could take you somewhere malicious. So that's the end of the presentation. And now we're opening it up for questions and answers. So if anyone has any questions, start chucking them in the chat. Well done, though, everyone, because 84% isn't bad, I don't think. So you did pretty well.
That was that question was one that we got incorrect, or some staff got incorrect internally also. So
loads of people furiously typing in the chat. So whose question's going to get there first? Yeah, thanks, Jordan. You've answered John's. I didn't see that. John Pendergrass's question there. If you're already using Mimecast, the tools included, or some additional product purchases. So some of them do come on different licensing models, like the security awareness training is actually an add-on, and certain features are part of different licensing models. Most of this, pretty much all of the security stuff we talked about at the start, that's pretty much all included. But yeah, a few of the other things, like if you want to start doing journaling and how long you want to hold your archive for, etc., there are different licensing models there. Are the email signatures created manually, or can it read in information from AD to create them? Darren, thank you. You pointed out a thing I missed there. It absolutely looks at AD. So if you're using 365, it looks at the attributes within Azure Active Directory. But obviously, if you're syncing from your local AD, they get synced up to Azure, and then in turn it syncs to Mimecast. So it can pull through pretty much all attributes, names, company addresses, phone numbers, etc. So yeah, you can do that. Okay, whilst people are still typing questions, I'm just going to flick over to the last slide as well. and just talk about that. So thanks for coming, everyone. We'll stay on and keep answering questions. But like I said at the start, we've recorded this, so you'll get a copy of the recording. We're also going to send out some PDF guides, and there's going to be a feedback survey. So we really appreciate your feedback. So please fill it out and tell us what you liked. Tell us things that you want to see in the future from us. Also, I'm just going to throw in here that 8 of us are doing a skydive later on this year in August. I'm absolutely petrified of doing it, but I'm going to. So if you'd like to sponsor us, there's a link there on the screen, which is uk.virginmoneygiving.com/breakwater-IT. And we are raising money for the Feed, which is our charity of the year this year. And we're going to try and help them get a food truck. So yeah, please sponsor us, because we're doing something crazy and jumping out of a plane. Charlie, you missed the beginning. Is there an admin portal like in Office 365? So there is an administration console that we have access to within Mimecast, where you set up all of the policies and procedures. Thanks, Sam. You've put the link in there. Charlie, if you want to discuss the admin portal in detail, it's a huge tool, and it's something you don't normally have access to yourselves. But if there's certain things you want access to and want to be able to control, give us a shout and we can go through it. That's a good one, Darren. And again, something I meant to mention and forgot. So when you send internally, if you're using signature management within Outlook, no, you don't see what is applied by Mimecast, because it only happens once it goes out through Mimecast. So the way we handle that is we tend to have a small sign off of, say, thanks, Jack, within Outlook, and then everything below that is the signature. But if you don't mind not having that, or if you're sending it internally only, then you don't really need that, and you can just say thanks. But yeah, it won't show all of the pictures and like rich format of the signature that gets applied. Darren's still typing away, so we'll let him finish that one. If there's no more questions after this, though, then once again, thanks for coming, everyone. And don't forget to sponsor us. Great, Darren. Yeah. I guess on the signature management, the only bit that takes the time really is designing it and getting the HTML right. So it's really handy if you've got someone internally who knows what they want that signature to look like. So generally, it's your marketing department. Sam designs ours and then gives it to us, and then we can then upload it and make it look all nice and pretty. So Christopher Grimmer, yeah, so if you want to do a test spam email, like a phishing simulation like we did today, that's part of the awareness training module in Mimecast, so we can talk to you about that. I'll get John or Jordan to give you a shout, but we can set that up. It is done by ourselves, although we might, I don't know, we might be able to give like an admin at your end access to it. So you'd actually be able to set one up and pick what you want it to look like. But we can work together to do that. Okay, with that, I think we'll probably leave it there. If there's any more questions or anything like that, then you've got all of our email addresses. You've got John Gosling's phone number, and you know, just keep calling him all the time. I'm sure he'll really appreciate that. But no, contact us, contact the service desk. Contact me, contact Stuart, contact John, contact Jordan. Doesn't matter. Ping an email in somewhere. We'll get a ticket raised and we'll get working on it for you. So I hope it was useful today. And give us a shout if there's any other information you'd like.